Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Book 3, The Titan's Curse, which is the third book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians Pentalogy, written by Rick Riordan. So the story picks up with our main title character of Percy Jackson, Thalia Grace, who is the daughter of Zeus, and Grover Underwood, who is Percy's best friend, attending a party whereby Grover has been tasked with finding and bringing back 2 new half-bloods to Camp Half-Blood for training and seclusion and safety. For those of you who don't know, Camp Half-Blood is a cross between a home, a safe haven, and a training ground for all demigods, where they become heroes and they're then later on in life, or later on after their training, sent on quests to aid the Greek gods or the members of the Olympian pantheon. And these new characters are Nico and Bianca D'Angelo. We also have some other new characters appear in the form of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, as well as Artemis's hunters, particularly the character of Zoe Nightshade. We also have Apollo's twin and brother, the sun god Apollo, show up as well in the early pages of the story. There's an overarching plot of both our heroes from Camp Half-Blood and our joint forces of Artemis's hunters, who combined forces to go and rescue both Artemis and Annabeth Chase from Kronos' forces. You also have in the pages of this story some really great scenes and great moments. Particularly one of my favourites is when Percy finally gives Mr. D or Dionysus a piece of his mind, which is awesome to see, because when you initially meet him in The Lightning Thief, he's the most arrogant, obnoxious, abrasive, uncaring deity that sits on the Olympian pantheon. He doesn't care about Camp Half-Blood, he doesn't care about the campers, he gets everybody's names wrong most of the time. He sees the overseeing of Camp Half-Blood as a tedious chore, bequeathed to him by his father Zeus after Dionysus' eyes fell upon a wood nymph which Zeus also had his eyes on. So to punish his son, he made him the overseer of Camp Half-Blood. But you also see a more human side to Dionysus later on, particularly with his reason for disliking heroes so much, even though it is quite jaded in the respect that the actions of one hero, whereby he left his fiancée and future bride on a deserted island in the middle of the Greek Ocean, or the Aegean Sea, in the middle of nowhere, after he seemingly completed his quest to kill one of Greek mythology's monsters, and so this then led Dionysus to resent all heroes because of the actions of this one particular individual. And you also have the Black Pegasus Blackjack play a bigger role in this particular book. The Pegasus which Percy saved in one of the earlier books, and Blackjack now feels a sense of duty, loyalty, and a sense of debt to Percy for saving his life. So we have Blackjack transporting Percy to the hunting party of Half-Bloods and Artemis's hunters to join the quest to save both Artemis and Annabeth. You also have some other great scenes early on of Thalia's comment about Apollo's looks, and Percy being totally oblivious, saying that Apollo is the sun god, so he's bound to be hot, which we know as readers is totally not what Thalia meant. We also have Thalia getting a driving lesson from Apollo on the sun chariot, and there's some generally laugh-out-loud humour when you realise the irony that even though Zeus is the king of the skies and it's his domain, his own daughter is afraid of heights, and she's also not a very good driver, which is both laugh-out-loud funny and ironic considering who her father is. You also have some development in the form of flashbacks for the character of Zoe Nightshade, who initially can appear to be very stoic, but she's also fiercely loyal to her fellow sisters of the hunt and fellow hunters, as well as being fiercely loyal to Artemis, who is her leader, her friend, her patriarch, if you will, of the hunters as well. You also see her human side and her close personal ties to Riptide, which is Perseus's pen sword, which he carries with him throughout all of the Percy Jackson novels in the series. so she has close personal ties to that, as well as the bearer of the sword that she came to deliver the sword into this particular hero's hands within the world of Greek mythology, and the personalities that encompass the heroes of Greek mythology. And you also have Mr. D's reasoning for disliking heroes being very human, but as I said, very jaded. But you also see a more human side to him in the epilogue of the Titan's Curse, in the scene in which they are all gathered in the throne room on Olympus, and there's a party ensuing for our heroes. You also have some great action scenes mixed throughout the story, particularly with the questing party and the Nemean Lion, as well as with the General's Forces, which is a new villain that's introduced in the Titan's Curse, and is a member of Cronus' elite and his right-hand Titan, so to speak. And this particular villain also has some very close personal ties with the character of Zoe Nightshade. And over the course of the story, Thalia actually becomes a well-rounded character, and she's established as a great fighter and a really likeable character in my opinion. And over the course of the book, there's a genuine friendship that develops between Percy and Thalia. You also have some really cool ties to Greek mythology, with the Nemean Lion being the first of Hercules' 12 labours. You have the reveal of who the general is, and he is the Titan who was charged with holding the weight of the world on his shoulders, or carrying the world on his shoulders, after the events of the first war between the Greek gods and the Titans. You also have some really great battle scenes at the end between the general's forces, and the quest party members. And there's also a great moment of Thalia and Luke having a conversation regarding their parents and their plans from when they were kids. And even, it seems, when Zeus was a kid, he was very hateful and resentful towards his father, as well as the Greek gods in general, for feeling abandoned, for feeling unwanted, for feeling unloved, for feeling, cheated when Hermes gave him the quest to go and retrieve a golden apple from the gardens which belonged to Hera, which was also another of Hercules' 12 labours. So you have that. But then you have Thalia realising that this Luke isn't the same Luke that she remembers, and she sort of realises that even though they were just kids and they were incredibly angry at their parents, and justifiably so, Thalia sort of moved past all of the resentment that you have when you're a kid, and she grew up very fast. But it seems that Luke, while he's grown up, but he's also held on to that seething childhood resentment, and he doesn't want to let go, and he's too far gone to be saved. But you also have a really great moment where Thalia actually makes a really surprising but an awesome decision towards the end of the story. Once again, as with the previous entries in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, this book is a non-stop grand action adventure with great action scenes, really cool ties to Greek mythology, whilst providing its own spin on things on the part of Rick Riordan. There's great character moments, there's great relationship development and character development as individuals, as well as with, pairings of characters. The story itself is really enthralling, engaging, and just a really just fast-paced read, and it's just great. And again, the writing, as always, by Rick Riordan is absolutely stellar, and he just does a masterful job of writing these stories. And you also have some foreshadowing of things to come and the building up of the overarching bigger picture, where you have the great prophecy hanging over the heads of the children of the big three, as he or she will either be the savior or the destroyer of Olympus when he or she turns 16. And you have some possible foreshadowing as to who that could be. And it's almost sort of Harry Potter-esque in its style of foreshadowing, whereby the first 3 novels were all self-contained stories, and then when you get to Goblet of Fire, this is when the overarching plot from the Goblet of Fire through the Order of the Phoenix, the Half-Blood Prince, and then finally Deathly Hallows, where everything comes to a head and everything comes to fruition, and all of the overarching build-up from the 4 books culminates in not only the final book, but the final epic grand-scale battle. But you have this in seemingly less books, but also no less a epic overarching plot of, you know, the final battle between the Titans and the Olympians and the Half-Bloods, or the demigods, that are sort of caught in the middle between their parents and their great-great-great-grandparents. So you have the build-up from the Titan's curse through the Battle of the Labyrinth, and then finally culminating and coming to a head in the pages of The Last Olympian. So once again, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Titan's Curse is another great book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. Thank you everybody for watching and listening as always. I hope you all enjoyed the video. By all means, please feel free to subscribe. Leave a comment below in the comment section. And until next time, this is Gambit896 signing off. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.